this is such an important film, and uh, you know, putting on the hat of a director now has got to be a huge change in your life.
It is a huge change in my life. It is, but it's one that feels completely natural. I think I've always thought of myself as a filmmaker. I think I've approached acting almost from the macro rather than the micro. I mean, every acting job I've ever done, I've always imagined the whole story and imagined how I operate within that. And I've always spent a lot of time gaming out how I think it will cut together and imagining the edit in my head. And then, invariably I watch the movie, I'm like, oh, that's nothing like how I imagined it. Of course, that's the beauty of filmmaking. Every director imagines something completely differently. But I suppose you do that enough and you're like, well, maybe I could actually do this too. It took me a long time, but it's what I've always dreamed about doing since I was a kid.
When you walked onto the set for the first time as the director and sat in that chair, uh, what runs through your mind? Is it everything that you've ever learned from sets that you've been on?
You don't have time to have anything running through your mind apart from the immediate of like, have I got this shot? That's the truth of like independent filmmaking. And this movie was hard to finance. It's wonderful that Netflix took it on after it was made and are giving it a wide release, because when I was trying to raise money for it, it was constantly, this is too ambitious, this is too art house, it's not going to be mainstream, it's too ambiguous. And honestly, all of those challenges meant that I had to make it for a lot less money than would be comfortable, which means when the train left the station, I just had to keep going. There was no time to even muse for a second about what I was doing right or wrong, or if I was, getting it done. I was just concentrated on getting it done.
Going with your gut, I mean, you did the right thing. This movie is so important and so absolutely relevant for today.
Thank you. I think so. Yes, I do.
And you are blessed with one of the best casts I think ever. Tessa and Ruth are just at the top of their game. And you being an actress, does that make your job as a director an easier job? Is there a shorthand that you have?
I don't know. I mean, I get this question a lot, and I'm not sure that it makes it. I think I have an understanding of what an actor is going through, like how vulnerable it can be. But I think a lot of good directors have that too, intuitively. I think that the greatest lesson that I learned from working with so many different directors was that the best ones work out that there's not really one way to do it, and know that every actor requires something different of their director, in order to do their best work. And that really is the job, in my opinion, is you suss out what everyone needs to feel supported so that they can fly. And that's, working out that and then doing it is really the job.
And shooting it in black and white was a brilliant move.
Thank
Just
you.
brilliant.
I mean, yes, I think it was one of those decisions that I really fought very hard. There was definitely along the road, there was a moment where everyone said, we'll give you the money if you make it in color. And I said, I don't think that I could make that movie, honestly. And that's just the truth. I don't think I could have. It's not about, at first blush, it feels that it's a very literal choice. Like, this is a black and white world, therefore this is a black and white film. But it's not about that. It's about the perception of that literalness, because it's about how there's no monolithic blackness or there's no monolithic whiteness, and black and white film isn't black and white, it's gray, it's 1,000 shades of gray, and as is this movie.
In our final seconds that we have, what do you think audiences are going to take away with them once they watch the film?
I honestly think that the film requires you to do the work. I mean, in a funny way. I don't think there is one takeaway. I think whatever you are, however much of yourself you bring to the movie and allow to process the movie, whatever aspects of your own identity you're working with and you're responding to, I think is how much you will take away from it. And the more you think about it, the more rewarding it will be. If you lean back and sort of let it wash over you, I think you run the risk of thinking that not much happens. But it gives a lot if you think about it.
Rebecca, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. And what a beautiful, beautiful film.
Thank you.